Welcome to the Branded Impact Podcast. On this show, we go beyond surface level branding, honest conversations with industry leaders, behind the scenes of aligned brand building, and actionable insights to help you elevate your presence. I'm your host, Jo Espejo, aka Jo. Hit subscribe and join me each week for the Branded Impact Podcast. Every brand has a story, but not every woman knows how to get her seat. That's where today's guest, Alessandra Polina, has changed the game. She is the founder of Quotable Media Co, the PR agency helping women-led businesses step confidently into the spotlight. From producing her own podcast and magazine to hosting PR workshops and leading the Female Founders of Boston, Alessandra is on a mission to make visibility accessible and powerful for women everywhere. Alessandra, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so excited for this conversation. Can you start by sharing a little bit about what even got you to form Quotable Media?
Thanks for having me, first of all. I'll start by just saying I feel like I'm like the rare business owner who actually went to school for PR. And after college, I had one brief stint at a job I didn't love and basically was a job that I hated and basically was catapulted into entrepreneurship right after that. I actually started my company about a year after I graduated college. At that time, it was just one client that I started working with. And from there, built the company. I didn't set out as oh, let me go start an agency. It was just I started working with a client while I was kind of working part-time with a guy I knew who had a PR agency, but didn't need full-time work. And this was after I was just kind of quickly quit a job where I was I need just something to do. And it just kind of snowballed from there. I brought on more and more clients on my own and eventually was I guess I have a company and then
That's
expanded
awesome.
into an agency over time after that. And then we actually rebranded to name it Quotable Media Co. several years later. I had just named it after myself at first because again, hadn't been super intentional about the whole creation of it. If you look up Quotable Media Co, it looks like it's existed for probably, I think 2020 actually was when we rebranded. I essentially started the company 13 years ago now.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and it just grew and grew from there.
Very cool. So tell me a little bit about branding. What was the reasoning behind that? Kind of what prompted you to want to make a name change?
When I started to see the growth that I wanted the company to have and build it out into more of an agency, it was when I started, it was just, I was taking on a couple clients. I just thought, oh, I need to pay my bills. I just want to have, a company where I can do what I want to do, not have, a boss to have to tell me what to do. I didn't realize at the time, clients, it's having multiple bosses all the
Right.
time, but it's a little
You go
different.
from
You
one to
still get to
many. It's fine.
Exactly. But, you still get to make the rules in a lot of senses. I wanted control over what I was doing day to day, basically. And I was I also was a young mom. I had my son shortly after starting my company. I was I want to have the flexibility and freedom to build it how I want to build it and have say over what I'm doing with clients, what I'm doing in, the PR space, and all of that. I really just saw it as me, myself, and I for a long time. And then when my son started to get a little bit older, and I was I actually want this to be bigger than me. I want to be able to bring in people to help. I want to not have to be the person doing all the stuff, all the day-to-day work, all the client, management, client relations, everything. I don't want to be the only face of the company. I started to feel when I was bringing in people to join the team, I felt that clients and the people that I was working with were expecting me all the time because that's what it had been at first and because it was named after me. I kind of felt like I had this mindset where I needed it to not be named after me so people could expect to work with other people and take them just as seriously as they took me. If I'm not the one on the client call, that's okay because you're not paying to work with, Alessandra Polina, you're paying to have Quotable Media Co. on your side. I really wanted it to kind of feel that way. I think it's just, I know there's tons of huge and very successful businesses that are named after a person or are somebody's last
Yes.
name. It just felt like it let me expand and grow much bigger and beyond myself. Not much bigger. We're still a very small company. I don't mean to be misleading, but that was really where it came from. I just wanted it to feel like it wasn't just me and that it had more longevity beyond me too. I was I don't want to necessarily sell the company even when I, get old or want to retire, but I want to be part of it forever, but I don't want it to be tied to me. I want it to run without me, run beyond me.
I've seen the companies where it is
Yeah.
after even first name, last name kind of thing. That is a sentiment that so many of us feel, especially if we started out in entrepreneurship with the mindset of we're doing this for us. We're trying to create a different kind of life. A lot of times, especially on the women's side, we're searching for some sort of time freedom to be able to control as much as we can say we can control, I think it's a false sense of security. But anyway, trying to control a
Mhm.
little bit more of our aspects of our lives. And when you start to bring people on, I know I felt those tinges too, where it's like, gosh, I'm struggling even now as I'm looking at expanding and scaling and growing. What part can I give up? What part are people okay? I like these pieces, but you struggle with that. And so if that's what it takes for you to be able to open up the space, that's great, but it's not 100% necessary. I think it all just
Right.
comes down to the conversations is what I found because I've brought people on. They're like, awesome. I used to be the person that would give feedback. And then when I
Mhm.
decided to level up my service and I personally just didn't want to do it anymore, I was like, I am not the best. I can look at an outfit and tell you whether or not it's a good option. But if it's not a good option, I don't really know how to help you outside of giving
Mhm.
you a few guidelines. Bringing on somebody that wasn't like a photographer felt easy. Telling my clients that they get to work with professional hair and makeup artists, bat an eye at the fact that I wasn't going to be the one doing their hair and makeup. And then I've
Right.
had to overcome. Now I'm working on that as my next step as far as like when I start to expand and I start to offer services, am I okay with not being behind the camera? I love the fact that like what started out as a vision for like a self, it's going to be one person, started to expand, you started to grow. And what you needed, I think, as a push to kind of cross over that barrier was a name change. So that's phenomenal. Talk to me a little bit
Yeah.
about what had to shift in your branding because you built a business for a significant amount of time under, was it Polina PR?
Yeah.
And then you switched to Quotable. So, what were some of the things that you did initially when you made that name change to let people know that it's not a brand new business? This is us. How did you rebrand? And then how do you get pivot? Because that impacts a lot of
Mhm.
things. Impacts your SEO, impacts brand. So, what are some of the things that you did as you made that transition?
We launched the magazine at this like right at the same time, I think. And like so I felt like that was like another expansion. I already had the podcast, but we didn't technically have like a whole media like side to the company. It was just like the PR agency and then my podcast. And I think that part of it too was like we were really expanding in that sense. Like the magazine didn't really make sense to fall under like a PR agency and it wasn't going to
Yeah.
call it like some magazine by Polina PR. So like it made more sense to kind of rebrand to a name that made sense for the magazine too and really see it as kind of two different pillars to the company, the PR, the agency, and then the media company piece of it. I think that made like the launch itself a little more like interesting and exciting. Like people did pay attention because we were launching the magazine at the same time too, I think. In terms of the rebrand, and this is a little embarrassing to even say, but like as I said, I wasn't like super intentional about first starting the company. So like I had made the website myself. I think made the logo myself. I don't think I had like a real branding person do like anything for me at the beginning. And I had just kind of iterated on everything as I grew when I was going to rebrand. I'm really going to like actually do this right this time and hired a branding agency to come up with the logo, the whole look, the actual brand itself, and a whole new website. I believe what I did was like redirected the old website to the new websites. We didn't lose all of the SEO, but to be honest, I'm not even sure if that's still the case. I just haven't paid any attention to it for so long after that. But I was really worried about like, oh, people are gonna like go here looking for something and
Yeah.
it's not there. I did make sure that like kind of everything did still feed into the new site and whatever else, like, the Facebook page. I just kind of made a very specific blurb that went everywhere that was, Polina PR is now Quotable Media Co. So that people wouldn't be too confused because there's nothing worse than when, somebody knows you from something and they go to look you up and don't know that this new thing is like also you or like is the same company. Like I didn't want to cause confusion, right? When it comes to branding, the worst thing you can do is cause confusion or have people not
Yes.
really know what they're looking at or what they're supposed to do with something, right? That was my main concern. In terms of creating the brand, I hired that branding agency. We did do a professional photo shoot with my small team at the time. We like rented a space for a photo shoot, did a photo shoot. So we had great imagery so that we could redo that website and the social. We had a whole plan for social for like kind of that announcement and the countdown and
Yeah.
stuff and then unveiling it all with the new name and all of that stuff. I was very, very intentional about it that time compared to when I first started the company and was like not nearly as intentional around the branding and setting up the company as I should have been.
Don't be embarrassed. I feel like so many of us do that, right? Like not everybody has the ability to go all in on branding on the front end. And so that's what I find happens the majority of the time is that you find that we do our own thing. It's like we have this idea, we DIY as much as we can based on budget, based on time, based on not knowing any better. You just do. Then sometimes, especially in this space, like you have creative skills. So you're like, I have an idea. I can just do it. It's fine. What like
Yeah.
the pivot? Even now, as you're looking back and you're thinking about it, why did you feel like going with a brand agency the second time was so important compared to like the DIY version?
A few reasons. And just like the world is so different now, like the world of business and the world in general, like people just won't take you seriously these days. I feel like if you don't have a strong brand, I think like literally things were so different when I started. Like there literally Instagram wasn't even like a thing, at least certainly not for
Right.
business. So it was like website was the only thing I had. I just think now that there's just so much in the business space. People, if you don't have like a really polished looking brand, people aren't going to take you seriously. I also already had, a certain amount of a reputation in the space, right? I need people to take me seriously to the level that I already was in terms of the business and the quality of work that we were doing. Like, I'm not going to kind of come showing up with like something that doesn't look polished and put together and professional
Right.
because we just already were there as far as a business goes. There's a certain amount of stuff you still can DIY, but in this day and age, in 2025, 2026, I really think that if you want to launch a business, like you need to have your brand set from the get-go, or like there's just too much noise, too much competition. And it's just honestly, it's too easy to do it. Like it's too easy to have a great brand to not have a great brand.
I guess too, it's also because of the fact that I walked that journey myself, because I saw the difference between when I had the DIY website and I had all those pieces, and then the journey to working with a brand agency. And it can be as something as simple as a logo. I designed a logo, loved it. When I was looking at it on the computer, it was beautiful. Everything was
Mhm.
great. I sponsored an event. I walked into the event and I saw my logo across the room. I couldn't even read it. I knew it was mine, but if I didn't know me, I was like, what the heck? Like that looks awful. If I would have worked with a branding agency, one of the things when I did finally decide to work with somebody that did graphic design, one of the first things that they said was, your logo has to be readable no matter what size version place that you put it, or you at least have to have
Mhm.
a format that can be. And it's just nowadays, even with AI and all these things, like there is a differentiator and you can tell. And then what are you trusting and asking people to trust in your business with? Do you want to look like the fly by night that just came up yesterday? Do you want to look like the business that you are an expert, that you can be trusted? I think this is where people don't
Yeah.
realize it's those subtle pieces that you're causing distrust without realizing you're causing distrust. They may not know how to
Mhm.
put their name or like put their finger on it. I use real estate agents for an example. Sorry to pick on you guys. I see this all the time where like their headshot is a selfie in a car with the seatbelt on. And I'm like, you're asking me to make a major life purchase with you. And you don't even have a nice headshot. I can't even see your face. It's like partially dark. You're sitting in the car, at least get outside, like at least get, iPhone picture, something. When you
Mhm.
look at it, there's a reason that people are going to choose the real estate agent that has a professional headshot versus the one that doesn't if they don't know you and they're not being referred, because there's something that's like, this one looks more professional than the other. And then what is that doing on the back end? It's creating trust. It's creating all these things where on the other side, you're starting to ask questions. You may not understand what you're asking. People listen to this are like, sure, Joe, of course you agree because you're in brand. We're not just saying this because of the world that we're living in. We're saying it because of our experience.
People who have told me like that they were attracted or they had heard about me for some reason but decided to set up a call or whatever it was because they loved my website or because they loved my branding. Like people tell me that all the time, even to this day. And it's been almost like 6 years now. And to be honest, I keep thinking I should do a little bit of a refresh at this point. Before the rebrand, nobody said they were coming to me because of that. They were coming to me because of referrals or because they had seen, my work or met me in some way. Now people say they got in touch because they like love it. It just draws in the right kind of people. It magnetizes the right kind of people to you, even if they don't understand why. Might not be like, your headshots look better than that person. That's why I called you. But it's the little things, like, as you said, that are making you resonate more with somebody who's maybe looking into their options or wasn't even looking into options, but came across you and they were just like, this company looks really cool. Like, I'd like to work with them.
There's something that makes it, and I don't know if you know this, but I have found that when I do attract clients that way, the sell, for lack of better words, is so much easier.
Because they come to you. When somebody comes to you and they feel like they've made that choice, and not to tie this back into PR, but that's exactly what I love about PR and what I tell people too is like when somebody feels that they've discovered you or they felt that urge to get in touch with you first, it's not you reaching out to them or even someone else, maybe somebody referred them and that's why they looked you up. But they've made that first move because they felt something that's so much more powerful. I agree. I find the sale is a lot easier because they already feel that connection.
I'm so glad you said that because I do want to tie it back into PR because there's a difference. A lot of times with marketing and branding and PR, we kind of all get looped into the same thing. I think that there's definite separations and then there's a place. Like for me, and then I want to hear your take on it. I love to say that branding is what you do first as the foundation. Then you pile on the marketing and the PR on top. If you are doing all of these things, you're paying to have ads and you're paying to have PR, or you're getting out there. What are you sending them to? Because once they hear about you, the branding is what they see. They land on your
Yeah.
social, they land on your website, they land on your email. Like literally, guys, all of the things that are touch points to your clients, the foundational piece, branding isn't going to get your name out there.
Right.
That's where marketing and PR come into place. So, talk to me about the importance of PR. What drove you to really niche down? And then talk to me about PR. Like, what is the importance and how does that help? There is a differentiation here. There is branding
Yeah.
and PR work together, but they're not the same.
I think you said it exactly kind of how I would say it too, that you need that brand set first. That's what's going to get people to actually get to know you and to want to like find out more about you because they look you up or whatever. They come to your website, you got your email list. You want that to look right. You want that to get people to be like, yeah, she looks interesting or I want to know more. I want to work with her. That's like so important. But the PR side of things is how you can actually get in front of more people because a lot of times people will be like, I'm doing all the things, right? Like I did the photo shoot. I have a beautiful website. I'm posting on Instagram every day. But no one is, I'm not like expanding my audience. No one's actually like signing up for my stuff or buying my things or, whatever it is. And that's where the PR comes in. I'm like, well, what are you doing to get in front of more people? Just posting on your Instagram, you're getting in front of the same people who already follow you. I know theoretically with hashtags, like back in the day, you used to be able to get in front of more people who didn't already follow you.
Right.
These days, that's not so much the case, or it's much harder, I think. I mean, and even back then, I was still telling people, like, hey, you got to go beyond social media sometimes.
I think social media is like a good place to have as like a second visibility, credibility check, but it is
Mhm.
very hard to just get discovered on social media.
I agree. I think like it's definitely necessary. I'm not telling anyone not to have a great social presence. And it comes back to what you said too. You should have that on lock first. You should have that social presence looking great before you do anything else to like put yourself out there. But then you need to actually be bringing in more people to look at it and to see it. They can get a lot of information about you once they're already interested about you. They can get information about how they could work with you or what those transformations will be that you'll help them with. First, they have to actually have enough interest to even be looking you up and to find those things out about you. That's where PR comes in. It's just a way to get way more eyeballs on you and to get in front of people in a new way that you're basically borrowing another audience, an existing audience, right? An audience that already trusts someone else, whether it's getting on podcasts and getting in front of an audience that already trusts the host. And then they're going to be like, ooh, she sounded kind of cool. Like I might actually check her out more. Then what people are going to do, they're going to go look me up on Instagram after this conversation, right? Or on LinkedIn,
Right.
or go to my website and sign up for the email list. Any of those things that again comes back to like now, I don't want that to like not look nice or have similar messaging. Like you want to make sure people get there and they're like, yeah, I actually still do want to follow through with this. But they wouldn't get there without having first heard me on this show or seen me, seen an interview of me online in a magazine or in a newspaper or something like that. That's how you're getting in front of those different audiences from whatever that platform might be, and then drawing people in. I say think of it as like the very top of your marketing funnel is the PR work, is this presence on some other outlet. And that's how you're going to bring people in to then come through the rest of your marketing funnel and then get to know you further.
So you're recommending for sure having the brand foundation in place first, but then at what point would someone consider doing PR? Because I feel like this is an area that I haven't really explored too much outside of podcasts and trying to become like a speaker, but that's not even a realm that I have really dove too far into. Like branding is such a hype word right now, but then everyone's like, I've got the branding in check. I did my logo and my website. I've got colors, I've got fonts. Like I'm good. I'm like, oh, that's a piece of your branding. Or like they wrap it in with the marketing recommendations as far as they're a certain part in business. They've got the brand foundation done? Like, when should someone really start thinking about PR?
First of all, being when you think about it, yeah, how is it going to fit into your overall branding? It's what are people going to know you for, right? Like maybe they're going to see your beautiful branding photos and they're going to see your messaging on your website, but PR is what is going to actually get you known as a thought leader or help you be known for something deeper than that, not just brand photographer. It's whatever your differentiator is, like something that makes you stand out from any other brand photographer out there. Think about what that differentiator is and getting that story told more so that people can really connect with you on that deeper level. So people see you as a thought leader and see that you are that expert. You have, this certain level of expertise that really helps you stand apart and helps you provide an outstanding service to your clients or your customers or whatever that might be. I'm not saying you have to have spent a lot of time. Like, yes, have your brand set so that you have that and it looks good and it will help make your job easier once people find out more about you. But I mean, it depends kind of on what the business is. But usually I think as soon as you kind of launch the business, assuming you have that branding set before you're launching, you have a reason to start PR around your launch because that's news and that's a story to be told. I think having a certain level of expertise before you start your business is always important. And assuming you have that, I think you can usually start with at least some level of PR. Going kind of back to what you asked before about like why women and like why I've kind of gone that route. I saw so many people when in like the first 5 to 8 years of having my business, I saw more and more women starting their own businesses and then shutting them down because they weren't getting in front of enough people or they weren't getting in front of the right people. Like people who were starting really cool businesses that were doing incredible things for people or really cool, didn't even realize PR should be part of their strategy or their business plan. They would have this cool thing and all they're doing is posting about it on Instagram. And I'm like, nobody is seeing that. And you need to make sure you're getting in front of the people who will buy this thing or want to be part of your community and help you spread the word in some way, even if they're not going to be a customer or a client. The people who can kind of get behind you, that's the game changer. That's what's going to make a business actually successful and have longevity is making sure you're getting yourself out there in the way to get in front of the people who need you or who will help. This is all you need to do. Not all you need to do. Like it's a lot. And like, obviously there's a lot more to running a business, but like, I'd be like, I can see exactly what you need to do to get this in front of the right people who will like literally blow this up. And they would be like, I can't afford $1,000 a month to, do PR and get in front of 100,000 people. And I'd be like, wait, what? And it's like, I get it. Sometimes the budget is not there, but you need to obviously also have some kind of budget built into your business plan when it comes to getting yourself out there in the marketing, the branding, the PR, like that does need to be built in to a certain extent.
I love your heart in that, like niching down to women. I still work with men as well, like if they get referred and things like that. But all of my marketing, all of my messaging is drawn to the women. I think for me, it's just my own personal journey and same, like the impact that we can have. I just see so many women in hiding. This is where I have seen the effects of getting out into the world. That's where branding and having like a brand that you're proud of and that you can resonate with, it gives them this confidence to
Mhm.
show up differently. And for me, I decided to name the podcast The Branded Impact because the impact that being branded has, it flows through so much more than just their business. I
Yeah.
know for me, I stepped into rooms different. It impacted not just my business, but my personal life, like me as a person, because I stopped playing small and I stopped hiding behind something like that piece. But when I was just doing photography, I had this thing that I was like, I can't really say I'm a photographer because I didn't go to school for it. Now I'm like, well, yeah, but no, right? And so it took me some time to
I
get
feel like
over
in the
that.
creative space, that doesn't even like make
It
sense.
doesn't. It does to me and my like, right? We talk about mindset and like
Yeah.
the blocks that I had myself as far as it didn't make sense. I think I was in professional photography for about 10 years before I finally even did my own headshots. I
Yeah.
was the person that was like, you don't need to see me. All you need to see is my work. My work speaks for itself. What does having my face out there have to do anything with it? And I had a mentor challenge me. I'll never forget. She's like, no, I need to see your face in at least every 9 posts that you put up on Instagram. I'm like, okay, one, I don't have any pictures I'm willing to put up there. So she's like, all right, well, fix that. I'm like, okay. So I went and did my first, started with a mini brand session. And I remember posting my first picture. It was a nice lifestyle headshot of myself. I don't even think I had a camera. All of a sudden, everyone's like, oh, you're a professional photographer? I'm like, what do you mean I'm a professional photographer? You're commenting on my professional photography page that you have been following for however many years. They're like, I didn't realize it was you. I was seeing the pictures. We loved the work. I didn't associate
Mm,
the fact that you were the person taking the pictures. I was like,
mm.
Oh. Then from there, all of a sudden, I had the confidence. I stood up straighter. I would look people in the eye and I'm
Yeah.
like, this is what I do. And I finally went full time with my own business. And it was a huge transition. So for me, having that branding that felt good, you talk about refreshes and all that stuff. My business has evolved a lot in the last 5 years that I went full time, and I'll
Mhm.
do it again. I get my own brand photos done at minimum once a year. On a good
Mhm.
year, I get them done about every 3 to 4 times, like 3 to 4 months, because I churn through so much photos that, like, I also get fatigue. I wanted new stuff, but I didn't wait. I got photos done when I was heavier because I'm like, I have to show up in my business. That
Yeah.
impact, and when I say that it impacts more than just your business, like that, me working with
Yeah.
women, because I feel like you did, like, if I can help you succeed not only in your business, but I can help you with a spark or like a pep in your step or confidence that you didn't have before.
Mhm.
For me, when you have those photos that resonate, people look at it and they feel like they know you. And my clients tell me all the time how they hear similar things like you. I decided to choose you because your website, because of this, because my gosh, you actually look like your photo on your email signature. Like, these are the things that I'm hearing, and then they can resonate. Then on the flip side, my clients are going, I can show up consistently because I have images that feel like me. This
Yeah.
is me. When I'm putting this out there into the world, like, it's not a made up version. It's not that like headshot that a lot of people don't feel comfortable using. Where's the first step for PR? Am I looking at having to spend $1,000 a month, or is there a place that you can start with just a call? Like, how do they get into this world?
I would say if somebody's first thinking about stepping into the world of PR, think about podcasts first and foremost, because it's such a great way to get to have these like in-depth conversations. When people get to hear your voice, it's like seeing the photo, but times 10, right? It's like they're actually getting to know you even that much more. I think that a lot of times I just find that women are more comfortable talking on a podcast than any other form of, doing an interview or pitching themselves to whatever, be on TV or be in a magazine or in a newspaper or like really any other, or being up on stage. That's obviously maybe like a next level. It can be a little bit easier for them to wrap their head around. It can have such a big impact, right? Because people can listen to this months from now, years from now. It's going to live on, and there's so much you can also do with the content afterwards, or, beyond just the one audio episode. I think, we're all so busy. A lot of times women are like, I don't really have time. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna have time to like focus on PR, to like put myself out there in that way, to do all of these things. And I'm like, if you do like one podcast interview a month, not only like did that take, the hour that you're having that conversation, but you can cut that up into so many other pieces of marketing material that you can use, that you can then not have to spend time on your social media for the month. You don't have to create new email content for the month. You can use it in so many ways that it's actually going to save you a ton of time in all of your other marketing and resonate with people that much more. That's one of the things I do tell to people if they're like not sure if they have the time or resources to dedicate towards it. The ways you can use like podcast interviews specifically, but really anything else, if you're any kind of interview, any kind of coverage that you've gotten through PR to help people through the sales process. I think people don't always think about that and the ways that you can use it. It's not just who's going to listen to this the day it goes live, right? It's how else can I strategically use it to maybe build it into an email sequence that people get after they've had their first call with me, or before they've had a call with me, but they're first looking into a certain service. I can insert pieces of an audio clip or direct people to listen to a whole episode of some podcast that I've been on. That's really going to help them dive into more about how my process works, or what it's like, or why they would want to do PR, like whatever it is that it makes sense, or whatever that conversation. I think it's just about thinking about how else you can use this material. Then I think it makes the investment of your time and money feel a lot more doable. And that's one reason specifically why I love podcasts and tell people to start there. Everybody knows a podcast that they love to listen to, and where they listen to, they are like, I feel like I'm friends with that host, even though I've never actually talked to her. I don't actually know her, but like I listen to her every week. I love the conversations. I feel like that's the kind of thing you can pitch yourself to, because it feels really authentic for you to say, hey, I feel like we could really sit down and have a really cool conversation that would really help your listeners, get from X to Y to Z from listening to this, and we could chat it through and it would be really great. I just think approaching something, if you've never done PR before, you've never pitched yourself to an opportunity before, thinking about it like that takes off some of the pressure. If somebody doesn't have budget or they're not sure they want to even commit to much, I would just challenge them to find one podcast that they like to listen to and pitch themselves to be a guest on it. That's a
That's
great place to
amazing.
start and just see how it feels, to be honest.
When I selfishly, I put off podcasting for a long time. I think I had it on my to-do list for about 2 years and then just creating content. And I realized having a conversation with you, I am fine with the video camera rolling. Doesn't bother me at all. The second that there's no one else that I'm talking to on the screen and I'm just trying to create content by staring at the camera, I'm like, oh my God, why do I talk like that? Why do I act like that? Forget it. I will move that content block to whatever day in the week and then it never happens. But this was a way
Mhm.
for me to have amazing conversation. I wanted to highlight other women also get to create content, and I repurposed my podcast as well. So there is at least one, if not two, social media posts that are created out of it. It goes into a blog, it goes into emails, it literally lives in so many places. And then I
Yeah.
was making a mental note while you were talking. I'm like, okay, don't forget that. I loved how you were talking about putting in clips whenever someone inquires or they're after the sales call. I was like, that's genius. I haven't done that yet, but I totally am going to try to think of putting in my process. Okay, so if anyone's been listening and they're like, "Thank you for the tips. Want to know more? I would love to learn more about working with Quotable Media Co." Where can they find you?
Well, the website is quotablemediaco.com. Now that we've talked about that, you can go check that out. And then we are on Instagram, Quotable Media Co. also. And then I also have a personal Instagram. You can probably more likely connect with me there. I am Alessandra Polina. So those would be the best ways to get in touch and just say hi.
Thank you so much for your time today, Alessandra. And honestly, for anyone that's been listening, if you know of somebody that could benefit from some PR tips or from this story, please be sure to share. And as always, continue to be out there and make your branded impact. That's a wrap. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Branded Impact Podcast. If today's episode sparked something in you, please take a second to subscribe, leave a review, or share it with a friend who's ready to unlock their rebrand era. And if you're ready for a brand that's rooted in authenticity and built for impact, one that truly reflects your story, your energy, and your evolution, let's connect. Head to brandingbyjo.com or DM me on Instagram at brandingbyjo. Thanks for hanging out. Now get out there, show up with purpose, and make your branded impact. I'll see you next week.